classical music and theater and dance in Beijing since 2005, and Shanghai, of course. This is Sunday Salon. We've been running this since 2009. Basically, it's a way to take you behind the music of China. So each month when we run it, we invite a musician or an artist, some kind of musical artist, and we ask them to tell us a little bit about their work and their lives. And this one is really special. Okay, so this one is, let me introduce first composer Yao Chen. Okay, before you clap, okay. I didn't do that very well, but he is a really top-level contemporary composer here in China. He's composed for a number of Grammy-winning ensembles, all kinds of orchestras and artists around the world. He does chamber music, he does orchestral music, he does music for soloists, music for film, music for theater. And the program is called Yao Chen and his Muses. So his Muses are all over there playing a variety of instruments, different types of music. You'll be able to see a wide range of contemporary music. He'll talk a little bit about the collaborative process with other musicians and how he works and how he got started. And so yeah, we've never had a composer and a musician on the same time, because I'm really excited about this. Okay, so thank you. Switch to piano. So can you tell us about that a little bit?
So when I was little, I was in the primary school. I was a very, very good singer in the school, and I was always the leading role in the chorus.
Okay.
And one day I saw my music teacher playing the grand piano. Right away I fell in love with the sound. So I decided I must learn this instrument.
Okay.
So and then I became a very, very passionate piano learner, and then I switched instruments from very, very tiny electronic keyboard, from 29 keys all the way to 35, 49, and then 88, real piano.
So you said at first, because you grew up in Lanzhou,
Yes.
so you felt that your parents didn't have a lot of money.
Yeah.
And a piano was a huge investment at that
Exactly.
time, right?
Yeah.
So they said, okay, try the keyboard.
Yeah.
And you said you were playing Mozart and Bach, and you just didn't have enough keys,
Right.
right? So it got to be too stressful. And you said, I need a real piano. And then what did they have to do to get you the piano?
Yeah, I begged my parents and said, I won't need any good food and good clothes. Just get me a real piano. So my parents borrowed money from relatives, from friends, finally sum up the money and then get a real piano.
So
I was very happy.
So you were about 9 when you started studying.
8.
8 or 9 when you started. Okay, so that's very late for pianists to begin,
Yeah,
right? Now you said, I know, right? But in terms of muscle memory, and it is a very late start for pianists, unfortunately. So you said that you were with your mother and you saw students offering free lessons at a music school.
Yeah. Because on the street one day in the summer, I was off school and then I had to spend my free time. So I ran into this student booth, college student booth. They said that they can teach piano for the kids. You can sign. And then I begged my mom, said, please, let me take piano lessons from these young college students. And then I learned with these college kids for 1 year, and then they find I was very, very talented. And then they recommended me to their professor, piano professor. So I started to become a real professional in that age.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. Okay, so we're going to talk about the transition to composition later, but let's start with the first piece.
Sure.
Okay, so can you please talk about the first piece and introduce our first muse, not my muse.
Let's invite first.
So this is Liang Zi, okay, and she's a Zheng artist. Okay, so can you talk a little bit? Okay.
So that the whole process of this piece is like you will see the musicians having, start playing on the strings and then gradually start to have lots of practice and then cultivate her mind.
Okay.
And then finally achieve enlightenment.
Okay.
Something like that. It's very metaphoric.
Okay.
But you get my idea.
Okay.
So you will see that how she present herself not only on the strings but also her physical movements.
Okay. Okay. Would you like to say anything, Bianca? Would you like to say anything? Okay.
Oh, she wanted to play first.
Okay, that's fine. say anything about the piece?
这个作品当中有很多肢体的一些东西，
Right.
也是我第一次接触肢体的这种表达。
It's my first attempt.
对我来说是一个全新的尝试。然后在这个学习的过程当中，就是面对了很多困难跟挑战吧。然后现在的这个状态，我相信只是暂时的。然后随着我对肢体的了解，还有对音乐更进一步的了解，我相信音乐的表达上面会更好，因为我认为这是一个非常好的作品。
So basically she said when she practices piece, she comes in lots of hardship, and then it's not that easy to right away to understand the music, and it takes a long time to digest and then play even better next time.
I think it would be hard to remember, right? Because it doesn't seem to follow a natural progression of. I think it would be hard to memorize, right?
很难记下来，是吧？很难背诵这个乐谱。
会的。
And you gave her the directions or
Yes,
movements.
everything's on the score.
How do you write that in the score? Do you draw
Just lots
pictures?
of lines.
That is very interesting. FFF or PPP, right? But not gestures. Oh, it's fascinating.
But I told her that you have to produce lotus in the air.
Oh,
Right?
yeah, I
So-
can see that. It's very exciting, right? Yeah. From Lanzhou to
from
Guangzhou.
Lanzhou moved to Guangzhou, and then I begged my parents, I really should get to the music high school as soon as possible. I can't deal with the normal high school life. And then so they introduced me a piano professor in the conservatory, and I played a few pieces in front of him. He said, "You are actually too old to get into music high school. Why not just study 3 years with me for the piano, and I can send you to college. Otherwise, try to be a composer. At the same time, you still can play
Said
the
you had a
piano."
good ear, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I followed his suggestion. Hey, let me try to be a composer. That's how I started to be a
Okay.
composer.
And what was it you said you liked about composing?
The one thing is that when you compose, it's not only because you know the instruments, you know all the techniques, but also you can develop imagination. So that's the key to be a real composer. You have to imagine. Lots of time, I don't really know the instruments. I don't really know the compositional techniques, but you can have lots of imagination when you do the.
Yeah, you said something so interesting. I'm going to try to find it. You said that you said that you were talking about there was a. Actually, we'll get to that question later. Forget, because that was about the space for your imagination. So I'll get back to that. For now, can you tell us about the breathing and the rhythm that you explained to me, and the timing to the blood pressure?
I started as a classical pianist, and I learned lots of classical music. But when I became a composer, I started to learn lots of 20th century music, which is full of noise, full of effects, full of very, very individualistic ideas about what sound means, what music means. So I have these both backgrounds in my blood. So I find that no matter it's classical music or contemporary music, the most important thing is the breathing. If you can let the notes breathe, then your music is alive. Yeah, no matter it's good melody or bad melody, as long as the music has breathed like a human being, then it works. Yeah.
And you said you were very influenced by nature. You said you
Yeah.
grew up on the Yellow River and the Yellow
Yeah.
Plateau. Can
Yeah.
you tell us a little bit
Yeah,
about that?
I grew up in Lanzhou. So Lanzhou is nearby the Yellow River, and then we have a Yellow Plateau. So I admire these rough mountains, these powerful feelings when you inside this wonderful nature.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you said you didn't realize how much you needed it until you moved away from it, right?
Yeah,
You were
yeah,
at
yeah.
15 when you moved to Guangzhou?
Yeah, travel makes you
Appreciate your home.
appreciate your home.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually I have a childhood friend from Lanzhou.
Oh, hello.
Hi.
Who's here.
We have known each other about over 35 years.
Wow, okay.
We grew up in the same
Same.
community.
Nice, okay. Pretty good.
Our parents are colleagues.
Oh, okay.
And at that time, his parents bought him a piano,
Yeah.
right, a keyboard. And my parents also bought a piano,
Okay.
a keyboard, but
Okay.
it's a typewriter.
Okay.
So I'm working on IT.
Yeah, okay. That's funny. Okay, do you want to introduce the next piece?
Yeah.
Okay.
So let's invite the next two two musicians.
Okay. So this one is a duet
Yeah.
for Pipa and Marhu.
This piece is called Sifan. Sifan is a very famous story in Buddhism. Basically means a nun and then a monk. They are tired of monastic life. They decide to come down to the mountain and then to become a mundane people.
Okay.
And
like
to
the rest
have
of us.
to become a couple.
Okay.
So it's kind of a lovely story.
Okay.
So let's
Well,
please sit down.
Yeah, maybe we'll have them talk after the
Yes.
music.
Yes.
We would work better.
I wrote this piece when I was in the college, third year.
Okay.
So
Okay.
very, very old piece, but still sounds very new
Okay.
nowadays.
Okay. sure. So we have, this is Liu Fanhe on pipa and Li Changchao on erhu. So can you tell us a little bit about your feelings about this music? Did you find you had to practice together a lot on this?
我还是说中文吧。
Yeah, gentlemen.
就是我觉得，跟就是上一个作品不一样的是，这个作品它是2个人，它需要合作。所以刚才他也问到，就是当然是要，其实是一直是2个人在一起磨合的一个过程。然后其实我们2个从小学就是同学，我们做同学已经10几年了。然后所以我们现在也是关系非常好的朋友。所以我觉得，对，其实在一起练习的这个过程，也是我们成长的一个过程。所以我觉得这个其实是我觉得是最奇妙的东西在里面。
So basically, she said that this piece is a duet, so that means needs lots of practice together, collaboration. And then actually they were classmates since primary school. So now they are they are prospective graduate students at college. So think about so many years living together, studying together, so that produce a piece in such a perfect way.
Yeah.
So
Have you ever played a duet before?
你们以前看过剧吗？
看过，我们演过无数次。
不怎么没有无数次。
Many times. Oh, okay.
Yeah, last year.
Okay.
We done in European tour.
Okay. And was there anything about this piece that you thought you liked or was more difficult? Or?
我个人来讲，我非常喜欢这个作品，因为我觉得不一样的是，其实我觉得姚老师的作品，就是他的所有的作品都是他在当代的精神中，他有回归一种民族性，这个是我最喜欢的一点，因为很多现代音乐家他们可能在创作现代音乐的时候，可能是太
现代
overdo it， 然后就变成了就是那种脱离了民族性本身。其实我觉得这样的作品，就是姚老师的作品，我之所以非常喜欢，是因为他有回归到民族这个意义上，我觉得这个很喜欢。
So basically, what she said that is she likes my piece a lot because she found that in my music there's a sense of traditional essence or something in the contemporary spirit.
Oh, okay.
You know, something like that. So she found that there's a return, even though it's contemporary language, contemporary music, but there's a return in the spiritual sense.
Okay. Yeah, because I was thinking when I listened to that piece that I wouldn't have known if this was contemporary or traditional, and I attribute it to my own ignorance of this type of music, but maybe I'm just really smart and this was that type. I heard things in the music. Yeah, okay, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because, for example, for the pipa and for the traditional pieces, you never use.
Okay, well, that was different.
Right?
Yeah.
And then for the erhu, you never have 2 sounds at the same time.
Okay.
But she's doing very wonderful, very
Can you do
sensitive
that
2
again?
sounds.
The 2 sounds at the same time? Okay.
不是两个，你有双音，哎。
Okay, right, that did sound.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you never
Okay.
done that in traditional
Okay.
repertoire.
Okay. Anything else?
你还想说什么吗？
我演那个姚老师这个作品已经演了很多次了，然后我今天还跟我的老师蓝老师开玩笑说啊，已经演了这么多次，已经没有恋爱的感觉了。但是回归于作品本身，我觉得每一次演姚老师这个作品，我都是很感动的。我们之前巡演3场，然后每次都会演到姚老师这首《思凡》，然后每一次演奏都会觉得在自己本身感受上，每次都是不一样的，每次的感动也都不一样。所以有的时候，有一次我跟李沧潇还沟通说，演维也纳那场是我最感动的，然后演完之后都要落泪了。所以我觉得姚老师的作品的最让我觉得最棒的地方就是能够感动自己，同时能够感动观众。
Do I need to translate?
As much as you can.
Well, something about love is broken.
Okay.
So basically, she said that they played this piece for quite a few times, and
Okay.
almost at some certain point they felt that the connection between these 2 instruments is over.
Oh, okay.
Broken down.
I didn't understand that
I don't know
part.
why.
Okay. All
I don't know
right.
why either. But anyway, that means probably they know each other very, very well.
Okay.
In a sense, it's like your hand is my.
Oh, okay.
Right? So the other thing is that she finds my music emotes people.
Okay.
So even emotes herself when she
Okay.
plays. So that's something she really enjoys.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you. But I even wanted to talk about this because I found that these two instruments, although they're both Chinese, had a great contrast. And I was
Right.
wondering if that was difficult for you, or did you agree that this was a contrast? Or?
To produce a composer is it's really, really difficult.
Okay.
Right? It takes long time to cultivate a real composer.
Okay.
Needs lots of study.
Okay.
Right? You have to know the instruments before you can write something about it. Right? And then even you can write them, you still have to uplift
Okay.
what it already can, what it exists already
Okay.
in the repertoire. So it's very, very difficult. So for me, it took me a long time to practice with them together,
Okay.
and then to know the instruments very well in order to really make sure the two sounds can go together.
Right.
Because the pipa is very full of points.
Okay.
Right. But the erhu is very full of lines.
Okay.
So how you can interweave
Okay.
these two different elements
Okay.
in one piece is something really challenging.
Okay.
And now this piece is for violin, right? For me, it's foreign instrument, right? When I was grew up, so I have to learn the instrument. The instrument is very difficult to manipulate.
But you said that, this is one quote that you said that I liked. You said that you learn the instrument enough to compose for, but not enough to play it, and that
Exactly.
leaves a space for your imagination.
Wonderful, yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I call theoretically. I know how to play every instrument, but physically, in reality, I'm not able to.
Okay.
Yeah. So because I have all the things going on in my brain, but think about it, you don't know how to play the violin, but you still have to write it. Of course, you're not as much as familiar with the instrument like the violinists
Right.
themselves, right? So that leaves a little bit blurred
Okay.
area. I call it imagination. You have to use your imagination to make up the gap,
Okay.
to make sure the music sounds more than what you wrote.
Yeah, did you ever have a music, because this happened to Tchaikovsky and many others, something sent back saying this is unplayable. Did that ever happen to you?
It's like the previous piece,
Okay.
duet. The first time when I went to rehearse with two musicians, Lam Wei is
Okay.
one of them, and I was, oh my god, what I wrote.
Okay.
I need to find a gap to hide myself.
Oh no, okay.
Yeah, because
okay.
it's horrible.
Okay.
I cannot accept what I wrote.
Okay.
So I didn't sleep that night. I revised,
Okay.
and the next day bring them a new piece.
Okay.
They said, you changed too much.
Okay.
But that's what I want.
Okay.
And then after a few times revision, and then I have that
Okay. All right.
perfect
All right.
version.
Okay. Great. Great. Thank you. Okay.
Yeah.
We'll do the next piece. on violin,
Yes, yeah.
and can you tell us something about the music? Would you like to share anything?
Oh, well, okay, I wouldn't know more than the composer.
What are your feelings about the music?
Yeah. Well, just add a few words before speaking about the piece.
Okay.
I had a part-time job in the modern ensemble, contemporary music ensemble for some years in Europe. So I had this experience playing live people's music.
Okay.
But I sometimes do prefer the dead ones.
Okay. Why?
They were selected by time.
Okay. Okay. Fair enough.
So, and there's so many.
Okay. Sure.
Yeah, well, but I always had a fascination about composers.
Okay.
Since I saw the Amadeus film, I don't know how many
Okay.
people know that. But when Mozart was a contemporary composer,
Right.
his music was criticized by some silly people. That's too many notes.
Right.
You remember
The emperor.
that
Yeah.
moment?
Yeah.
So from that time I remembered, well, it must be hard to be a composer alive,
Right.
you know. So, but later I happily joined an ensemble for producing, contemporary music, and only it's a part-time job. So
Right.
I learned how to imagine what composer wants,
Okay.
and happened to be his friend and a school friend.
Okay.
So, some years later we found each other again. So
Okay.
it's a great pleasure to play his piece.
So do you find that he is able to understand more easily than maybe other musicians what you
But tell
want?
the truth.
Yeah. I think he played this piece for 2 times, right?
Twice, yes.
This is the second time.
Okay.
So it's much more thorough
Okay.
than before.
It's just
Yeah.
like,
compliment.
you asked for the truth. Right, yeah.
You know, thorough emotionally
Okay.
as well as technically. It means much more engaging than the first time.
Much fluent. Yes.
So I
Okay.
think next time will be even
Yeah.
Better.
better.
But it's one very interesting thing about playing an ensemble, which produces only the contemporary music. So you notice whenever there's oriental color,
Okay.
it appears immediately. That I wake up, I say, hey, who wrote this?
Oh,
I will ask my
okay.
colleague. This is really obvious.
Okay.
Yeah, and especially when I first time saw this piece, I thought that sound.
Yeah.
It's like the ancient Chinese
Yes.
instrument like guqin.
That's what it reminded me of.
Yeah,
That specific color. Yeah.
I want
Yeah.
to sound ringing just like that instrument.
Right.
And some harmonic. It reminds. Yeah,
Let me add in.
Yes,
he is the first ever person I've met can produce this perfectly.
Okay.
I've met many musicians, but
Okay.
they cannot produce this so
practice,
Okay.
practice.
But he's
Yeah.
unbelievable.
And that was the sound you had in your head. It was like, okay. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's
It's about time, so it's like that.
That's a compliment. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. So
Anything else to add about the piece, or working together, or do you find it easier to collaborate with a friend?
Do you think I'm demanding?
nothing's more exciting than composers is life, you know.
Okay. Is it nerve-wracking at all? Is it?
Nerve-wracking.
Is it? Do you feel a bit more nervous to play for someone who's going to be, oh, that's not what I wrote?
No, but I mean, I don't know about other people. I feel quite lucky, you know, being with different composers. None of them hated me.
Okay.
I can be quite existing too, because I know the limit of the instrument.
Right.
Unless I don't know that style of music well enough, so I wouldn't give any judgment. I try my best to present what was written. Very professional.
Okay, great. Okay, thank you so
Pleasure.
much. What are some of the problems facing young composers today? And you said, quote, there's a universal disease that contemporary music has, that people don't understand. They might hate it. There's a huge distance between the general audience and the music.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So, you know, being a contemporary composer is not that easy because you are a minority, and not many audience will love your music. It's very difficult for anyone to get into the piece, except, you know, classical music nowadays. Yeah. So only a very few people, some very extremely musically knowledgeable people can digest this kind of music. So I think it's really my responsibility, composer's responsibility, to let more people understand what we are doing nowadays. But I also request every audience try to be more open-minded, right? Bring your imagination to your listening experience, other than keep asking me, what do you want to express? What do you want to say, right? Tell me, what do you hear, right? That's something more active, being an audience, instead of being so passive.
Okay. Now, I asked you, was there any pressure that you or other contemporary composers feel about sales or whatever? And you said the bigger pressure came from who you were writing for. So you said that you wouldn't want to give a very avant-garde piece to an orchestral musician because they were used to classical, but a soloist, and you could tell by talking to someone. Can you talk a little bit about that?
So at the same time, we are also aware that we have different kinds of audience, different kinds of musicians, right? Some musicians are very easy to play contemporary music, but some are not, right? And some audience are much more easier to, you know, to be emoted by the strange noise, but some people are not. So we have to understand what we are doing specifically. For example, writing this piece, I know who I'm writing for. I know who will be the audience, right? So that's something I always keep in mind, to be a little bit rational.
Now, is there, when you're working with an international audience, not in China, but an international audience, and you're writing a piece for a Chinese traditional instrument, do you find that that maybe goes down easier because we don't have the expectations of what it should sound like? Do you find that's easier?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think so.
Okay.
That's a good assumption.
Yeah. Well, it came to me while I was listening to it.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, these are international.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. What do you guys feel? Is that? Okay. Yeah. No, I just thought with you know, we go to a classical concert in the West and we expect to hear certain types of sounds.
That's called.
And then it's not always.
China has a long history, so we have barriers. We have a barrier.
Okay, but I would think that a Western audience anyway might be more open to contemporary music on a Chinese instrument because they'd be so interested in it's a different sound.
They don't have any background. It's easier for them to get into, but real music is not instrument. For example, if you know pipa very well, you always think, oh, Chen is not doing right about pipa. If you know the pipa. Right. But actually, that's my way of presenting myself through the pipa. Not really trying to write something off the pipa.
Now, is there a judgment from the Chinese audience? Like, okay, for sure. Yeah. Okay.
I know some people don't like me,
Okay.
and my music either, so it's normal.
But you said you don't care. You said that you don't judge people. There are always going to be some people who don't love my music, but I speak to those who are willing to understand it's tough work, it's lonely.
It
end of
is.
interview. Yeah. Okay.
Long.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you hear the solitude in that
Yes.
piece?
Yeah.
It is.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Should we move on to the final piece?
Yes. Final piece.
Do you want to introduce the piece at all? No. No.
All right.
I was asking
Right,
Chet.
the inspiration of this piece is coming from Wang Shifu's 西厢记, right? It's the romance of the West Chamber. And so from one of the scenes, it's called 情心, the heart of Qing. So basically, sentiments of the Qing sound, right? So it's basically talking about the yin yin at night. To hear Zhang Sheng is playing the guqin, so she felt she was yearning for love, and then her melancholic love. Yeah. So you will hear something very, very special, more than the pipa.
Okay.
So I will introduce for you. Action. Action.
云裂晴空，冰轮乍雨，风扫残红，相见落雨。 离恨天多，仙朝万株。 走了，婴儿里的情郎，我走了，花儿里的爱宠。
好，
是速度向上去拦住。我不是大只见到身上怂。我不是露身长臂相糊涂。千声在听，在敲主动，原来是锦溪巷李斯通，起身抓似铁几刀枪，荣荣。起身又似浪花流水，涌涌。起身高，风清月朗，火里哭。起身低，似儿女相窗中，叔叔，叔叔。叔叔，只因这发心思。感怀着断肠，
Thank you for that. So you should know that this and the other piece you dedicated to Lao Wei, right?
Yes,
Because
yes.
she did the premieres
Yeah.
Yeah.
She
Okay.
did premiere in Chicago.
Okay. 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 Can you explain a little bit about this piece?
This piece.
Yeah.
Give me some.
You take a rest, right? Yeah. I should just introduce really quickly. So Lam Wei has played for us a number of times as a soloist, as part of a trio, and then here. And she organized this whole show. And every time she plays people, I put learn people on my list of things to do before I go. It is pretty far down still, and there's a lot of things unchecked before it. But every time I think, oh yeah, before I leave China, I gotta learn to play people. So beautiful. So yeah. So anything you could tell us about this piece?
This piece is really it's a very great challenge for me.
Okay.
It's like he's digging and digging the potential capability of my acting.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
why. Yeah. That in fact that I love that.
Okay.
I'm not afraid of acting. But before I just act with my pipa, and this time I can act with my voice, my
Okay.
sound, my everything.
Okay.
Yeah. So really, for me, it's really like a fortune for me
Okay.
to encounter with
Okay.
with him again, because because when he was in United States, the collaboration between us stopped for some years, and he contacted me again, and he invited me to join this project.
Okay.
And for me, it's like, new work. I love new work.
Right.
But I never expected so challenging for me.
Okay.
It was him to like
My
persuade me to no
Okay.
to push me
Okay.
to learn from the real country
Okay.
opera actor actress.
And how did you do that? Did you go to shows? Did you watch videos? How did you
In fact,
learn?
no, I just have 4 classes
Okay.
with them.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's beautiful.
I'm not saying I am a very good student, no, but I really know how to learn, how to practice the technique.
Okay.
And because this work was finished 3 years before, and by the time passing, I for example, for this night, I think you must notice that I was a little bit different. Maybe
Every time is different.
Okay.
Every time is different.
I was like more in the role, more in the emotion, and the rules of the vocal things, and maybe some mistakes about my playing, about my singing. But I think my acting is more fluent.
Okay. Was it difficult for you to learn? Was it something did you ever feel self-conscious or
No,
nervous about it?
everything should be memorized detail by detail. I mean
The vocalization
yes.
and the dramatic part of it.
dramatic part. I think the most difficult part for me is the 手势 gesture.
The gesture.
The gesture.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, but the vocal things, in the beginning, my teacher, she sang and I record, and I learn, I repeat and practice
Okay.
second by second for
Okay.
3 days, and with my strong memory. So in the beginning, I would just like memorize the every detail I can get.
Okay.
Yeah, but and then
And now it's
I will
becoming
be
more your
free.
own.
More
Yeah.
free.
That's
But if my teacher is there, I will be.
Okay. Wow. Okay. Now we wanted to talk very briefly about your collaborative process because you've worked together many times now, and so can you explain how you would go about working together on a specific piece or on this piece?
Well, we have very good connection.
Okay.
Yeah, mentally,
Okay.
spiritually.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's very easy for us to when we meet and when we met in 1998 in college.
Okay.
We worked on the Sifan piece.
Okay, okay.
I was a
Right.
freshman.
Wow, okay.
I was third year.
Okay.
And, so we right away felt it's easy, very
Okay.
easy for us to work together.
All right.
And then I went to the United States and stayed there for many, many years.
Right.
And then when I had this project, so I thought about her.
Okay.
I called her and said,
Okay.
can you come to the United States?
Okay.
And we'll do this piece together.
Mm.
So that was 2014. So we finished the first 2 acts. And then 2015 we finished the 3rd act. So we had 3 acts.
Of this piece.
So she only played 1 act today.
Oh, okay.
So the whole piece is 35 minutes long.
Okay.
She memorized it within 1 week.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
But in general, do you say, I've got an idea for a pipa, please let me run it by you, or do you write it out, give it to her, she makes suggestions? How does it work?
It's back and forth.
Back and forth, okay.
So usually I finish the whole piece, I send
Okay.
to her, and then she practiced, and I went to the rehearsal, and then if we dislike something, we argue, and then we make compromise,
Okay,
and then we settle down.
okay, okay.
No, but I want to say he's very different because I collaborated with many different composers.
Mm.
He is very professional and his work is very detailed.
Okay,
Like he said for the first piece, every gesture he can really paint or
Notate.
notate.
Okay.
I think that's a very basic and very important training for a
Okay.
professional composer.
okay.
So you can read my score. It's like that score was notated by myself, but not
Okay.
every detail, every.
Yeah, because I want to make sure after my death, people
Yes.
finish.
That's the quote I was just looking for. Yeah, because you said revising up to the last minute, even the second performance. I'm a perfectionist. I want to work on the details of the details
Yes.
because I want the music to survive after my death. Yeah, and that's the way you feel about his work. Yeah. Okay, that's great.
I love his music. In fact, we played his music sometimes before here, but I think this occasion is so special and new
Yeah.
for me and for
Yeah.
him
The
and for the
intimacy.
Sunday Salon.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, I'm very appreciate I can make it.
Yeah, no, well, I just sit here, right? Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much. Very, very.
Yeah, I need a lot of quiet time.
Yeah.
So to immerse myself in the silence, and then I hear something that's not from the earth. So I notate.
Follow-up question: how often does that happen?
Well, sometimes I force myself because I have to practice. Sometimes I just got caught.
Do you ever get like when you're on the subway or something like, I'm thinking of something, right? Do you ever get that, like inspiration? Yeah, okay.
Because for the Sifan piece, I went to a theater play. It's called the same name, Sifan by Meng Jinghui. So that night I think I must work piece.
Okay.
I must work piece.
Okay.
So that's the piece.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay. But what composers tell me is that, and I don't know if you agree, now you're also a professor at Central Conservatory, they find it very difficult to have a regular job and then compose, because composing takes up so much time.
Right.
And you said this about your piano, that you began drawing away from piano because you needed more time for composition. Yeah.
Yeah. So I squeeze time.
Right.
Yeah, squeeze.
Okay. But it's difficult because Georges Balanchine, the composer, used to say, my muse comes on union time, because he could work from like 9 to 5 and done, and then go home and shut it off. But almost no other creative person has ever been able to do that.
Sometimes to have union time is good.
Yeah.
Actually, you can be more productive.
That's what his feeling was.
But sometimes the most fantastic, most genius ideas comes from the out of time.
Okay.
So you can't control.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Did that answer your question, or is there anything else? Okay. Anything else? Any other questions?
First of all, allow me to express my admiration for your
Yes.
breathtaking work
Thank you.
and
Yes.
all the beautiful performances.
Yes. Thank you.
And from your, I was really touched by your first piece, Lotus Aloft, and the last one. I want to ask, because for myself, I'm really touched because I feel so sad. And even though you're from the northwestern part of China, but your performance, your pieces are not that heroic. It's like it's full of sorrows. And I think for as a musician, if you want to make a difference, your work may not be full of techniques, or it should be full of emotions which can really connect the audience. And I was really connected by your work. And my question is, excuse me for my inappropriate curiosity, is these sorrows, this solitude from your personal lives, or you're just inspired by this Chinese traditional
I think it's from my personality. Usually I'm down.
Really?
I'm just kidding.
I would have thought so, yeah.
Because I'm very curious, what have you been through?
So it's like therapy.
Well, I'm a very lucky person. So
You are.
I don't have many obstacles in my life compared to most people. But I guess this melancholy thing is really in my blood. Yeah.
So these sentimental parts just in your blood.
I think so. Yeah, I think so. I have to admit.
Yeah.
Because when you perform overseas, and for these foreigners, they may think that, wow, this Chinese music, what you bring to them is Chinese music, and they feel so. How come all these Chinese music are so sad?
Did everyone else hear sorrow? Because I heard like wind, and I imagined nature a lot.
Yes, especially the first Lotus of Lotus, I can really recognize these tiny little elegant steps produced by Guqing, right?
Yeah, you're very sensitive.
Yeah.
Well, probably you are sad too. That's why. So we echo each other. We echo each other.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, that's called the soulmate, right?
Right. So you were inspired by Buddhism.
Yes, I'm quasi-Buddhist.
Okay.
Quasi.
It's like non-practicing, you know, like you believe in the.
But I see lots of I see wonderful things in Buddhist arts. You know, temples, buildings, architectures, and mural paintings.
Yeah. I think that could be said about most religions, and then there's the practice, which is always more difficult, right?
I wanted to ask you about this. You mentioned spirituality a lot in your music, and I felt it, and then when she did.
Right.
Is it all from Buddhism, or other, or do you meditate? Do you think of Taoist kind of energy?
I think sometimes I'm a pantheist.
Okay.
Right?
A pantheist?
Yeah, sometimes I like to go to church too.
So like all religions?
Yeah, pantheist.
Okay. It's called pantheist. I think. It sounds like it should be that.
I forgot that term.
Like, no, but like, so you take something from many different religions.
Yeah. But you know, why I like Buddhism is because I like the temples.
Okay.
I like the atmosphere.
Yeah.
I like the ambience.
Did you ever have what you felt was a powerful spiritual experience and then moved it right into a piece of music?
It is. Yeah. I have written quite a few pieces that are generated from the Buddhism. I have written maybe 6 or 7 pieces.
Okay.
From the large piece to small pieces.
Can I find this on your website? Or
yes, you can find them. Yeah, I've been to Tibet, and then I wrote a piece called "The Emanations of Tara." So Dumu. I wrote a very long piece, 20 minutes piece. It's about different taras, the emanations of Tara.
Okay.
And the Sifan is the first Buddhist piece. What awakening. So it's all about the enlightenment. Because I think I suffer. So somehow in the reality, that's why I need to write something that can uplift me.
Okay.
I want to have the sublimation.
Okay. Thank you. Anyone else? Yes?
It seems to me that you sort of push the boundaries of what the musicians are comfortable doing with their instruments. I don't know these instruments well, but it seems to me you're having them do things with these instruments that may be different than maybe the way they're used to interacting with them. Do you, I guess it's kind of a chicken and egg question. Like, is it that you want the music to bring something out that maybe using the instrument in a different way, or do you want to use the instrument in a different way to show what it's capable of, or how do you?
I think to push the boundary of the instruments is not my goal. Yeah, my goal is to produce the music I love and my people love. But we are contemporary, so we need to use the contemporary language. That's part of the responsibility. So that's the combination. So anyway, so that's not the priority to push the boundary. But when I hear, there's a possibility, for example, the top part of the pipa or the left part of the guzheng, then I want to use it in the proper way to serve my music statement, not to become the topic of my piece. Yeah.
It seems the musicians really enjoy the challenge, though.
Yeah, I'm not an avant-gardist at all, but I use avant-garde techniques.
Okay. Thank you. Anyone else?
I'm interested, you talked about the audience being open to listening. I'm interested in when you listen to your pieces being played, how it makes you feel.
I'm still pretty thrilled because these are live performances. You get the vibration from the musician. So every time I feel I'm in trance. So I don't know where I am. So it's subjective.
Nice.
Yeah.
Anyone else? Any other questions? Okay. Well, Yao Chen will stay up here a little bit before you go. Okay. To answer any more questions, or maybe if you have any other questions for the musicians or for Yao Chen, let me just explain what this is. Well, you know what it's a QR code, but. With Sunday Salon, I do, and I'm not what you call really faithful at it, but I do my best. About once a week or so, I send out an announcement for whatever I think are the good concerts on, and concerts to look out for, and especially if one of our Sunday Salon artists is giving a concert somewhere and I know about it, which I don't always know, I will send out an announcement saying where you can see them and I can get to see them, and then you'll get announcements about the next Sunday Salon. So this is our last one for spring. And then I'll be away for the summer, but we'll start again in September and we'll do a few in the fall. So if you're just interested in this, please come up and you can, or you can do it from here. Or come up and just scan if you'd like, or if you have any questions for anyone, okay? So first of all, thank you so much.